Do some levels. Hello there.
Yeah.
My name is Jonathan Cooper, but you might know me by my other name, Daddy.
Keeping that.
Be my guest.
First question. How many instruments can you play?
I mean, how many instruments should I classify as a guitar? I mean, there's a guitar, there's bass guitar, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, 12-string guitar. No, I'd probably say with any actual proficiency, 4, like guitar, bass, because I do consider it a separate instrument, piano, and weirdly, the ocarina.
What's an ocarina?
You ever played Legend of Zelda?
Yes.
The little flute he plays?
Oh,
That's an ocarina. My mum and stepdad years ago, they went on a trip to Florence, I believe it was, and there was a place hand making them out of clay, so it brought me back an ocarina. And of course, I dedicated my life to learning all of the little Zelda tunes. I should have brought it with, but yeah, next time.
Which was the first one you learnt to play?
That would be keyboard. I got my first keyboard at the age of 9 for Christmas, and it had these little light-up LEDs, and it taught you how to play Billie Jean Beat It and Flashdance. What a feeling!
Yeah.
So that was my first introduction to music. Then picked up bass at 14. Guitar followed after that, really. But yeah, I've kind of always had music in my blood. My dad was a violinist, and it's just always been there, something that I have to do.
Yeah. Do you think you'll pick up the violin at some point?
No. I tried my hand at cello. My hands are just, I get all cramped up trying to play a violin. I tried my hand at my dad's and just couldn't get the fingering. Cello, I found a lot easier. The spacing was similar to bass guitar. I didn't get very far in it before I ended up selling it. I think it was one of those, I'm going to learn a cello because I've got a disposable income and don't know what to do with it, sort of things you do when you're 20, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't exactly say I was very proficient on the cello, but it's definitely a good instrument to learn. It's got so much soul to it.
Yeah. What's your go-to breakfast?
Bacon and egg sandwich.
Yeah.
It's got to be streaky bacon. None of this back bacon nonsense. That's ham.
Yeah. Would you ever be pushed to a bit of vegan bacon?
I mean, I'll eat vegan and I'll eat vegetarian. I had a date not too long ago, and girl was vegetarian. I'm a ferocious omnivore. I will literally eat anything. I'm the worst person to go to a restaurant with because someone will say, "Oh, what's that like?" And I'll tell you, it's great. You'll order it. Hey presto, you just ordered baba ganoush. You got a plate of salty snot. I love it. You don't. It's your fault for trusting me. You know. But I cooked vegetarian fajitas using tofu, some chopped courgettes, mushrooms, aubergine, bits like that, and. You know what? I actually preferred it to chicken.
Yeah.
I really did. It felt like a much lighter meal. So I kind of switched over to making fajitas with tofu after that.
Yeah.
Not because I'm like against meat eating, but simply because it actually tasted better, you know.
What's the best gig you've been to?
There's 2 that spring to mind. Most memorable was probably it's the first gig I ever went to. I was 15 years old. Donington 95 was happening before it became Download Festival. It was still Monsters of Rock. And Metallica were headlining at the time. I'm like 15 years old, I'm just getting into heavy metal. I want to see Metallica. My dad's like, you're not going to a festival on your own. My mum pipes in, big Metallica fan here, I'm going. So my mum took me to Download. So the first band I ever saw live was Corrosion of Conformity. They opened up the day and I've been a fan ever since. Wise Blood and American Volume Dealer are 2 of the finest rock and roll albums ever written. And then the rest of the show was like Slash's Snake Pit, Slayer, White Zombie before Rob got stuck up his own backside, Metallica, Skid Row. So it was a really good day. I remember these really big burly bikers being really jealous of my mum's Jaffa cakes. So like she had them there, mate. It was great. It's like distributing Jaffa cakes to these big scary dudes. And the other one I'm really fond of was a New Year's Eve gig. It was seeing Orbital and Left Field. 2 big dance acts from the late 90s, early 2000s electro movement. And Left Field nearly deafened me. And Orbital, I was drunk. So I don't remember a lot of it, but I do recall the chimes of Big Ben being remixed into a tune, which absolutely blew my mind. So it stuck with me. And then they did a breakbeat cover of the Doctor Who theme tune. So yeah, that sticks with me.
What is the worst gig you've been to?
Gillingham Festival, saw the Osric Tentacles. They're like a completely instrumental band that make like trippy hippie techno rock. It's really difficult to explain. They've been going since '82. I think they're like the band of Theseus at this point. I don't think any one of the original band members is still there, maybe the guitarist. But yeah, they were playing Gillingham Festival and there was either a problem with the sound or they were all drunk. And yeah, the flute player, he had this flute that fell apart. The synth player kept having this weird noise going off and you could see he was struggling. And it was probably not the band's fault. It was just like every single bit of tech failure that could have happened at that gig. So it was literally 30 minutes of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any tech failure on any of your gigs?
I was in this enormously pretentious band called the League of Sound Manipulation, and we played an entire gig with one of the you could section off the keyboard, and I was the keyboardist bass player, and the entire section of the keyboard was actually not set up, and I couldn't hear it because we had no monitors. So I'm playing the high, and there's absolutely no bass, and we didn't realise until someone had recorded it. We found out later on. I was just like, oh my god, that entire set was just not right. It was missing an entire half of the sound.
Ah, mate.
Yeah.
What is your biggest ick in a person?
Pride. You're allowed to be proud of things, but a misplaced sense of self-importance that comes from nowhere but internet validation, that's pride. That's ugly.
Yeah.
I don't like ugly people.
Do aliens exist?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
There's a Neil deGrasse Tyson quote that I like. If I were to go to the seaside with a cup and scoop a cup of seawater and then say, there are no whales in the sea because this is my sample size. It's the same as saying there are no aliens in the universe because our sample size is so small and our ability to actually capture anything is related to the distance it is. So if we're looking at Proxima Centauri, for instance, we're not looking at Proxima Centauri, we're looking at Proxima Centauri 4.5 years ago. So the time it takes for anything to reach us, I mean, you've got to bear in mind, we've been sending radio waves out since the dawn of like the radio in the 30s and then high wave radios in the 60s. We've been beaming our existence out into space for decades, but not a single transmission would have reached another star by now. Yeah, it's presumption of the highest order to believe that we are so unique in the universe.
What is your favourite cartoon?
Ren and Stimpy.
I don't think I know that one.
It was a 90s cartoon that parents did not want their kids watching because it was so... it was like a surrealist nightmare of absurd comedy between a chihuahua and an idiot cat with intermixed bits of extreme horror and like massive close-ups of a really veiny eyeball. It's like someone took the Animaniacs, put them on the Event Horizon ship, sent it out, brought them back again, and then made the cartoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ren and Stimpy.
What's your favourite brand of clothing?
I don't have one.
No.
I specifically wear unbranded, generally plain clothes.
Yeah.
Anyone that's been to my gigs in the last year will recognise this outfit because I wear the same outfit to every gig. I have no intention of being fashionable. It's just something ugly, again, that has to be changed every 15 minutes for whatever reason the internet decides today. This is out, that is in, I don't care.
Skateboard or rollerblade?
Skateboard.
Yeah. Vinyl, CD, digital or mini disc?
Not mini disc, the rest don't matter. Mini disc chops and compresses the sound, so you'll never actually get a true sound from it. Audiophiles will try and tell you that vinyls will always sound better, but that's actually a fallacy that came about in the 80s to 90s when you were having badly mastered versions of albums put onto a CD. So we've got bad mixing, bad mastering, or a bad conversion by people who didn't fully understand the technology. Of course, as that technology grew, it got better and better and better. And now when you listen to a CD that is produced in the last 10 years, you will notice no difference in sound quality to a vinyl. Anyone who says differently is just a snob and wants to justify their extensive picture disc collection.
The album artwork though is cool on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Which song do you like playing at the moment? Your song as an artist, and also from your headphones.
So my own song that I'm enjoying at the moment is one that played for you today, which is The Committee of Vultures. I enjoy that because it's got probably the most powerful vocal opening I've put into a song, and it was specifically written as an opener. I needed something with a strong intro, something that was going to be punchy, so I didn't have a gig opener. So that's kind of how I ended up coming about the design of that song, was to try and give something with a bit more air for me to communicate with the crowd. Hi, I'm Gentleman John, and you may have seen me before on Crime Stoppers, or whatever it is I want to say or yell at the crowd at that time. So that's the one I enjoy playing there. As far as covers go, I've recently been going through what I like to call sad horny music. So that's been things like Deftones, Typo Negative, Meg Myers. And recently I've really been enjoying playing Love You to Death by Typo Negative. It's got such a deep resonance, and Peter Steele was a wonderful vocalist, and I wouldn't even dream of trying to recreate those soft rolled R's he has, where he just comes across as this romantic god. I hope my version at least does some justice to the man's legacy.
What is your favourite animal?
As a pet, cats.
In general?
In general, big cats. I've always had cats in my life. I've always had a pet cat. And the thing I love about cats is you can really gauge a person by their reaction with cats. I don't trust anybody who says, I don't like cats. They're too aloof. They don't come when you call them. I'm like, so basically what you're saying is, your idea of a companion is someone that obeys you. What's your concept of consent?
What is your favourite drink?
Water.
3 people you can take to a dinner, dead or alive. Who would you have at your dinner table?
Christina Hendricks, Devin Townsend, and Jaco Pastorius.
Do you think the moon landing's happened?
Yes, I do. We touched on this earlier. Yeah, I absolutely believe that in '69 a rocket was launched, and all the telemetric data from every other country that was in direct competition with the United States confirmed that that rocket did in fact go to the moon, orbit it for several days. Something went down there, something came back, and then it came home. Whether or not the astronauts actually did that and went there, that's a matter for debate. Like, no amount of evidence one way or the other can convince anybody beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt, but we definitely sent something to the moon.
The next question is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Call your mother and do 20 push-ups. You don't have to do them all at once, just make sure you knock them out by the end of the day.
No. Do ghosts exist?
No.
Reason?
I have a similar view to Houdini in the fact that I hate con men. I hate people who weaponize grief or monetize grief. I cannot stand charlatans. And those are the only people who have ever tried to convince me of the existence of ghosts, of the existence of afterlives. There's a very famous Harry Houdini, the very famous escape artist. He had lost his mother and he went to see a medium, and the medium had made contact and said, I've got your mother. And Houdini said, is that you, mother? She said, yes, it's me, Harry. Harry Houdini was a stage name.
Oh, no.
That wasn't his name. So ever since then, Houdini dedicated his life to exposing frauds, charlatans, con men, people who had weaponized the occult and the unknown. Aleister Crowley is a con man. And Don't get me wrong, I've read the Satanic Bible. It's a fascinating read. It's little more than a self-help book, but it's a fascinating read. But to try and convince people of some otherworldly power that holds the state of ghosts in either positive or negative light, I don't buy it. There is not a single force in the universe that backs that up.
What is your favourite film?
It's a toss-up between two classics and one film that people don't like. The two classics, depending on my mood, it's either Blade Runner or RoboCop.
Oh, Blade Runner's so good.
Blade Runner's good, but I've been appreciating the original RoboCop in a different light recently. It's less a schlocky sci-fi, and it's more about the sustainability of one's humanity in the face of insurmountable destruction.
And the one that people don't like?
Cloud Atlas. It's a film made by the Wachowskis, and it's set across, I think it's 6 different time periods, sort of in a Pulp Fiction kind of way. It's multiple different stories that all coalesce, but all the stories are set between the 1700s and the 2200s, and they all have the same actors playing different people, meeting as souls over and over and over again as time progresses. One of the reasons it didn't do too well is because some of the actors are from different ethnicities. There were some questionable prosthetic choices.
We'll leave that there. If you could instantly travel somewhere, where would you go?
The surface of the sun.